What up, guys? As you see, we have a Honda s2000 here, and if you've been watching my videos, you know that's not my car, and it's my brother's car. But we're gonna do something about this guy over here. I don't know if you can see it. The bumper is pretty bad, but hold on. All right, that's better. So this is my brother. I think it's his first time on the videos. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead. Let me just show you. So I think last week somebody did some damage over here and scraped his bumper while he was in traffic. And
I was actually in a parking lot.
You were in a parking lot?
I was not moving in a parking lot and some dude came and scraped the side of my car.
Okay, so we're gonna basically take this down. Well, we're gonna fix it up, and hopefully by the end of this video it'll be perfect. And if there's anyone out there that's having similar problems or has any damage to their bumper, front bumper or back bumper, whatever, that they have similar damage like that, then hopefully this will help you. So the first step is that we're going to take out the bumper so we can have an easier time working with this. So the first step is take out all of these screw slash clamps. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them, I think. Let me see. Yeah, there's 5 of them. We're just going to take those out. Take the bumper out. I think that's all the screws. Maybe there is more. I'll show you along the way. So, we already took all of these off. After that, there is 2 screws or 1?
1.
There's 1 screw on your...
There's only 1. Yeah, there's only 1.
Like your wheel well right here?
It's a 10 millimeter.
I don't think I can show you, but it's like inside right here. That holds the bumper to the flare. Okay. After 45 minutes, the bumper is finally off. Down there. And make sure that's stable. And now we can finally start working on this dude right here.
Alright.
I'll be completely honest. There's this one video on this, and I haven't watched it. My brother has watched it. He knows the steps. I don't know anything.
It's gonna turn out great.
I hope it does. The guy's turns out really great, so it should work.
Okay, so the first step of this whole process is to go to Walmart or anywhere to go find a propane tank. And we need one of the regulators for the tip of the propane tank. The whole purpose of this is to pretty much heat the back of the bumper without melting it too much, so we can soften up the plastic and get it to be a little straight. And then we're going to be drilling holes in the bumper to connect the broken piece with the rest of the bumper with zip ties, and then you'll see what happens next. But first I got to do this.
Okay, another update. We have such little progress. I have like that many updates. Like that much progress. Anyways, the propane tank we got is not suitable for this project, because this is for a stove, and that has like another end that connects to it, which we don't have. But the good news is you can use a hair dryer, because it's literally just to bend the plastic back, like where it's out on the bumper, just to like bend it back into place so it doesn't like poke out anywhere. So I think a hair dryer will be fine. If a hair dryer is not fine, we'll continue this video on another day. If it's fine, then you'll continue to see it. Go.
You see?
What? Oh. It bent back into place. So a hairdryer is fine, as you see. it worked fine. I think propane and
Would have
like
been a little too much.
no, I think it'll just make it easier and faster. But this was pretty
So
quick.
what we're gonna try to do now is get it as even as possible, and then we're gonna have to pour some cold water on the outside of the bumper. That way the temperature goes down fast and the plastic gets hard and it stays where it's at. Alright, next up we're just gonna pour a little bit of water.
Why?
It's gonna cool down the temperature of the plastic. Because we heated it up, it's going to be soft, and once we put the cold water, since it becomes instantly cold, it's gonna stick into place. That way it helps us keep it cleaner and smoother.
Alright, so the next step is basically making drift stitches on your, like where the crack is, and putting zip ties around, like drilling holes around the crack, and then putting zip ties around and tightening it up. I think that's just so it keeps it in place. But that's what we're doing right now. It's taking forever. Okay, so what we're doing now is literally just making holes to where we can mount the zip ties. And then that's gonna make it more smooth, like to hold the whole bumper where it's cracked, to hold it in place. I don't know what to say right now. Okay, so we made a bunch of holes, just drilled a bunch so the epoxy can go through and then it'll stick. But the next step is to sand down the whole bumper, like that whole area where there's damage. And then after that, we're gonna put the metal sheets and start the bonding process. But for now, we're gonna take 80 or 100 grit sandpaper and start sanding it down. It helps if you have like a sanding tool,
Sandblaster?
like a sandblaster, instead of just doing it with your hand. Like that, something like this. And that's 80 grit, is it?
Yeah.
That's just 80 grit sandpaper. Yeah, if you have one of those, that helps. If not, you can do it by hand. It's just gonna take longer, and this is really convenient. So the next step is, after you've sanded everything down, you have to wash it, and for that you can just use acetone and just put that on a cloth and then just wipe everything down. Okay, so the next step, you have to sand the back as well. For us, it's kind of hard to get to. Hold up. For us, it's kind of hard to get to, but I think we can fit the. Where'd it go? Okay, I think we can fit the sanding machine. I don't know what it's called. Sand blaster in there. It could be easier for you if it is. Well, good for you, but it's kind of hard to get to for us. We're gonna try our best.
If not, we'll use our hands.
Oh yeah, if not, you can always just sand it down with your hands. So, one fits. Okay, next step. Look what he's doing. It's the mask. Like around where the crack is, or the damage. Just to mask it down, and then we're gonna use epoxy and the sheets, right?
Yeah.
And then just spread it all over, and and that has to wait for 24 hours. So you're gonna see this, and then 2 seconds for you, but 24 hours for us. We're gonna continue. But we're gonna do the epoxy now, and then wait for that to just settle in. All right, so the next step, you have
Metal patches.
these metal patches. They're gonna line up with the holes that you have in the back and where you sanded. You're just literally gonna put it on top and put epoxy on it. If you don't know how to prepare epoxy, we'll show you that in like 2 seconds. But he's taking out like the extra plastic pieces that came from just drilling the holes, just to get it nice and like smooth. But yeah, we're gonna put these on in like a couple seconds. Just put it down. It sticks, so.
Not as great as you think it would, but it holds in place, so that's all we need.
Once you epoxy it, it all sticks.
Alright, so what you're gonna want to do is mix these two in equal amounts. This one's the steel and this one's the hardener, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the steel first and then put the hardener, and I'm only gonna be getting about maybe 2 to 3 minutes before it starts getting a little rough or hard. So I'm gonna try to rush through this as fast as I can and get it done. So I'm just gonna put some here. And don't be scared to use this. Use as much as you can. Don't hold back, because the more you put, the stronger it gets pretty much. You're gonna want to mix it very good to a point where you don't want to see like 2 tones of colors. Mix it as good as you can until it forms one color. In our case, it turned out to be gray. Some epoxies are see-through. Alright, so that's good. Now you're gonna want to get as much as you can and apply it on the area. Like I said, don't hold back. Use as much as you can, because this stuff is the stuff that's gonna hold your bumper together.
As you guys see, we put epoxy all over this, the metal patches that we had here. And for the epoxy to fully, stick and get on the bumper, it needs to wait about 24 hours. So we're gonna wait 24 hours and then get back to it. So, alright, so we're done for tonight. After the epoxy sticks and everything is good, it's gonna take like 24 hours like I said before, so we'll see you guys then. Alright, back in the garage. The epoxy's all dried up. It's really hard. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's been, I think, almost 24 hours. But yeah, so the next step is
we're gonna use an angle grinder with a 3mm blade to scratch up the front of the bumper, just so when we apply Bondo it can stick to it. I mean, you guys can do it with sandpaper if you want, but just for time's sake, it'll just take us a lot shorter. We're just gonna use the angle grinder to scratch up this area and apply Bondo.
we just, with the angle grinder, made it all like smooth, and if there was like big bumps, we took those off. And now we're just wiping it with acetone, just to clear everything off if there's any like pieces that just flew in there while we were doing with the angle grinder. And next step is Bondo. And Bondo really like dries up real quick. It's like 15 minutes. After that, sanding it and just make sure it's like sitting clear, and then primer and paint.
Alright, so now what we're gonna want to use is some Bondo glass. We're gonna want to mix this up really good before we even put it in a plate or anything you're putting it on. Make sure it gets to like an even texture. Stir it nice. They also say keep it away from the sun. Don't do Bondo under the sun, because I think the hardener activates faster or something. But we're far from sun. It's like 2 in the morning. Alright, so we're gonna want to take some of this, put it on here. Alright, and then we're gonna be putting some cream hardener on top. Not too much, not too little. I guess just enough. I'm gonna be putting about this much on there. And then what we're gonna wanna do is stir it. We're gonna wanna stir this very evenly until, you know, there's no two-tone colors, I guess. All the Bondo and the hardener, they need to form one equal color. There can't be anything, like any sides that are left green and then some sides that are left red. That way the hardener will activate better and hold stronger, I think. I'm very good at talking as if I know what I'm doing. And apply.
So day 3 of the bumper fixing process. Now we're just gonna sand it down. If you remember, we Bondoed it, and now we're just gonna sand it down and make it smooth, and then apply the filler. And after the filler, we have to sand it by hand, not using the tool we have. Sand it by hand so we can get the exact shape that we want, because if we do it with the tool we have, it's too like powerful and all over the place, so we can't really adjust. So now we're gonna sand it down with the tool and then put the filler on, and then we'll be able to sand it with our hand, and then I'm pretty sure that's all, and then we can just start painting it, like primer and then paint. Okay, so we sanded everything down to the most we could, because our sandpaper is like dead. We need to get another sheet, but this, as you see, it's level. I don't know if you can tell. It's really smooth. Just make sure you sand it until everything is smooth. And for like these spots right here, there is a little bit of a difference. But like I said, we just need to get new sandpaper and sand everything down better. But let me try to get a good angle of how you can tell that it's really like the same level. So next thing we're gonna do is put the filler on, and then make sure everything is like equal on the same level, where there's no bumps or little things that's gonna prevent it from being straight. So the thing we're using now is right here. It's called body filler, Bondo, and that's gonna just go on to like all the little small holes right here and level everything out. And then we're gonna sand that down, and we should be good. This dries in about like 45 minutes as well, so just let it sit after you put it on all over.
Now we're gonna put the cream hardener.
Before you primer it, make sure you clean it up with acetone, because you just sanded and you have a lot of stuff on there that you don't want the primer to like hold or anything, or get over, so you won't have like any bumps. Alright, so this is after 4 coats of primer, and I think it's turning out decent. Mind you that this car is going in for paint in like 2 weeks, so we're not really that concerned. But you know, to get smoother results, you should sand down extra on like the bumpy parts and all around in general. But I think for our purposes, it's turning out pretty good so far. Okay, I'm only showing the first coat of paint, but you should do at least maybe 4 to 5 coats depending on how you do it. So it should cover everything, and hopefully it'll turn out great. Alright guys, so this is how it turned out. We put it back on. Well, that's like after. We got that after. But this is how it turned out. Let me know if you try it, and I want to see your results too. But thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Have a nice day. Always use protection. The struggle is real. Just put epoxy all over it. Just make sure it's covered. And when you do it, you want to make sure... Bro, that's like falling out.
What?